Hi, this is a presentation of the app Drinks, developed in the course Advanced Web Programming at Linköpings University. This is an app to find quality drinks based on what you have at home. Let's start by logging in. You can also register a new account by clicking here, but I have one from before, so let's log in. Now that we're logged in, we can see how many ingredients we have for each drink here. We can also search. Let's try old-fashioned. Okay. On this page, we show some information about the drink and how to make it. Finally, ingredients are added on this page. Let's add sugar cubes. I think I had it at home. Okay. So now that I've added that, I can see that in the drinks list, I now have all ingredients needed for the old-fashioned. And that's about that for the public client. This is the back-end client or the data client for the drink app. Let's log in. Okay, so here we have some different models that we can use. We have drinks, ingredients, user, images, and clients. Drinks are the drinks in the list. Ingredients, yeah, you can guess what that is. Users, here we can see all the users for the application. Right now it's only 2 admins in this application. It's me and Ludwig. And yeah, we can, of course, edit all this if we want to. Enter new password or change the name or something. We can also remove this user if we want to. Images is just a super basic function to upload new images. And also handle old images. We also have this client page where we can add new clients, and this is to make it possible to add, for example, a new secret or client secret for if we were to build say a Android app or something. Let's go back to the drinks. We can take a look at the gin sour. Here we have a lot of fields to fill in. We have the name of the drink, creator, and bar, and this is to be able to say we want to go to, let's say, Harry's here in Linköping and ask the bartender there. Then we can add credits to Harry's and the bartender. And then we have type of drink, glass, we have a short description, a long description, and then we have the ingredients here. And we can add them by start typing, say sugar cube, and then we can just go down to this, and then it's added. And it's optional to add the quantity and unit, but if you add one, you need to add the other. So let's remove this again. And we can also select different units here. Then we have the how-to steps, and then we have a short description, and then a more long description for real nerds. We can also remove and add steps just by clicking here. Remove. And we can add images. And we can add more than one image here. We don't know what to do with it yet, but it's possible to do it if we want to. And that's all I have to say about the admin client. Now let's talk a little bit about the project structure, or the code structure. So we have chosen to develop this app with microservices. So we have a couple of them out here. We have the web client, we have the admin client, which are the ones I have shown before. And those are developed with AngularJS. And then we have the API, auth, and image services, microservices. And these are the server-side code, and they take care of different parts of the application. So the auth is a OAuth-inspired application with tokens. And then we have the API, which is handling all the data, like the written data. And then we have this image service for uploading and storing images. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the technical challenges with the project. So right now I'm in the auth service for the web client. And this problem is about as the site loads, we want to start loading a lot of content. We want to fetch the drinks, and we also want to see if the user is logged in or not. And we do this by using the the local storage with a API token, and that is then passed to the server, and the server will tell us if the user is logged in or not. But while we are doing this, we also want to load the drinks, because otherwise it would wait for this to complete before starting loading the drinks, and that would make the site be clear until, or like have no content until this is loaded. And also, if it turns out the user is not logged in, we want to have started that request as soon as possible. So what we have done is that both for login and for login by token, we do this, that we broadcast user logged in when the user is logged in. So that way we can start loading the drinks from the API, and if it turns out the user is logged in, then we can reload them and fetch the new data with more information about what ingredients the user have, and so on. So if we take a look in the drinks controller, we see that as soon as we load the drinks list, then we start a call to the API to get the drinks, and then we listen to this broadcast user logged in, and when that is triggered, then we reload the drinks if the user is logged in. So that way we can load the drinks as soon as the page loads, but if the user is logged in, we can reload them. Okay, so I'm now in the API service or API microservice, and I'm looking in the database file. I wanted to show how we are finding out how many ingredients are missing for each drink. So we create this ingredient list with all the ingredients, or the IDs of the ingredients for the drink, and then we find the missing ingredients by comparing the ingredients list to the user's ingredients, so the ingredients that the user has added to his profile. And then when we know the missing ingredients, we find out the missing count by taking size of missing, and finally we find out the ingredient count by taking the size of ingredients. And then by default we sort ascending based on missing, or descending, sorry, based on the missing count. And all this is done in one request to the MongoDB with this aggregate function. I wanted to talk a brief moment about the validator in the API. Since we don't have any, since we're using MongoDB, we don't have any database schemas. So we have a layer in between where we validate all data committed to the database. And this is a good example of what you can do. So we have this amount setting on ingredients. So we want you to be able to either just add an ingredient, for example, Angostura bitter. Then you don't want to add any amount of how much you should add. So we want that the amount to be optional. But the amount has two attributes, and that's quantity and unit. So if we set one of them, then we also want to set the other. And this is done in this neat way by making the amount optional, but in the amount both quantity and unit is required. And yeah, this is called when you try to enter a drink to the database. I'm now in the admin client, and I just wanted to talk about how we handle the microservices when we're in the Angular applications. So each microservice has a service, an Angular service connected to it. So if we want to use the all connections to the API microservice is done with this factory, which is called API service on the Angular project. And this way we don't need to do any like HTTP requests outside of the service. So everything is handled here, and it's also easy to switch between like local and production URLs for the API. So we set them here, and then based on this global variable, we change to local or production URL for the service. And yeah, what more? Oh, that's all.